What is going on, wrestling fans? You are live on WrestlingRumors.net right here with us on Wrestling Warm-Up. That's right, Doug McDonald here, Adam Daly there, hanging out with us across the nation. You know how we do. It's just us two tonight, so we're going to throw down, Adam. We're going to have a good show. We may have some other guests joining us later on, as you know, people like to do. We're busy people, and we are exponentially trying to grow this website for you guys and make everything awesome for you to read and to watch and to listen to. So we're working really hard. We're working really, really hard. You can see like our Facebook likes and our Twitter followers have grown exponentially over the last few weeks, actually. And we're trying really, really hard to connect with you guys better. So you're going to see a lot more stuff on Facebook. You're going to see a lot of stuff come up on Twitter. You're going to see more videos and some more stuff on YouTube. We're going to utilize Periscope. Man, we're about to be all in your face with a bunch of different stuff and new podcasts. John Alba and I are going to come out with a new podcast for you guys. That's going to be a weekly, like 35 to 45-minute Wrestling Rumors radio. We're bringing that back. It's just not going to be a daily thing. It's going to be a weekly thing. It's with me and John Alba. So we're going to have a lot of stuff going on for you guys to get your wrestling fix in. We are 4 weeks removed from SummerSlam. Holy crap, the stuff that's come out today. It's going to be a 4-hour show. Before we get to anything else in the world of wrestling, let's talk about SummerSlam and how important this weekend's going to be, especially for the company. They're really seriously booking this thing like a WrestleMania at this point. We're getting a 4-hour show. We're getting the NXT special beforehand. On Saturday night, it's going to be a 3-hour show. Maybe 4 if they decide to tape 2 episodes in Brooklyn, but I know they're taping 1. Ed says us getting up in their face is not PG. No, I like to rock it a little bit more X-rated than that. No, we're going to be NXT. Possibly we'll do 4 hours, but we know for sure it's going to be 3 because they're going to tape an episode of the NXT program for the WWE Network before NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, and then of course we have the 2-hour live special on the WWE Network. I will be in New York. That's right, the South Carolinian. As you can tell in the southern drawl of my voice, I don't really talk like what you think Southerners talk like, but that's because I went to journalism school. When I was a kid, I was very Southern. This South Carolina kid is going up to the big city. I'm going to be staying with the resident Brooklynite himself, the Long Islander, if you will. He's not a Brooklynite. We're going to be staying with the Manzos, Mr. Frank Maria, whose birthday is today. So, Maria, happy birthday, Maria. Maria, we are wishing you a happy birthday. Welcome to the Dirty 30 Club. Like to see you in a couple weeks. Bring your Chick-fil-A for your birthday. But we're going to be hanging out with the Manzos all weekend and John Alba. So we're going to have John and myself and Frank Manzo and Joe Omega. We're going to be bringing you guys some pre-shows for the NXT event. We're going to be bringing you some pre-shows, of course, with Adam and Sam and Chris Walter. We're going to be bringing you some pre-shows before the NXT event and, of course, before SummerSlam. They may not be live, but they will be on the screen for you to watch beforehand. And if they are live, they're going to have to be at like noon because we're going early to tailgate and all that good stuff both nights and really just throw down. So we're going to have some fun. But I'm looking forward to it, man. We got 4 hours there and possibly 4 hours the night before. Building this thing up like a WrestleMania. This is basically like WrestleMania 2.0 for the year. Right now, the only confirmed match we have, which is ginormous, Adam, is Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Before we move on, what are your thoughts on this? I wasn't around Monday. I had a family emergency. What were you guys' thoughts on the whole Brock Lesnar Undertaker setup? Because for me, when I watched it back, I haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. When I watched it back, it was phenomenal. This is exactly what I've been talking about for all you marks who have told me I'm wrong for saying that Undertaker Brock Lesnar still had money behind it from the minute I started saying it, the Raw after WrestleMania 30 until right now. Suck on it. Because you saw Monday night how they can build this thing into a money-making match between these two old guys. And let me tell you something. I guarantee you, barring any concussion, this match is going to deliver. They're going to do the match that they wanted to do at WrestleMania 30 and some. It's going to deliver. It is now the main event. But I thought it was amazing. I thought the brawl was great. I honestly disregard Undertaker's cross between Val Venus and Triple H voice modulation he was doing at the beginning of the show. The promo was excellent. Maybe one of the best Undertaker promos I've ever heard. Undertaker's my boy. Undertaker and Razor Ramon were the two stars that got me watching wrestling in 1992. So don't tell me that Undertaker can't talk, because he can when he wants to and is passionate about it. You saw him get passionate about it last Monday night. He is going to be awesome. This entire feud, he's going to be awesome. He's stepped up his game. He knows what he looked like 2 years ago at WrestleMania, and he doesn't want to, or I mean, it was last year, but 2 WrestleManias ago. And you know, it's going to be great, man. Don't tell me there's no money in it. I've been seeing it from day one. Day one, after WrestleMania 30, there's money in this program. Adam, what do you think?
I mean, I think if there wasn't money in this match, they wouldn't be throwing Cena into the title picture. You know, is an emergency fill-in just to make that title seem more relevant. Because let's face it, there's not a bigger match on the card right now, and there probably isn't going to be than Lesnar Taker. I thought the setup last week was beautiful because there was something. You know, we kept making a joke. It felt like when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off. It felt like that chaotic realism. Like it felt like that fourth wall was being broken, and they really hated each other. You know, if you allowed yourself to, you know, suspend that disbelief for a second. I think it paid off in spades, and I think that if people were in doubt, they shouldn't be anymore. And let's face it, Taker's heard it from WrestleMania 30, Doug, just like you said, but he's heard it about WrestleMania 31 too. You know, a lot of people weren't really happy with his match. So absolutely, he has something that I think that he wants to prove. And that promo, I agree with you. Taker's always cut a good promo. It's just he's never needed to. Right. His character is a very stoic, man of few words type of, you know, when he's Undertaker. Biker Taker, obviously completely different, but go back to his Biker Taker days.
Good promos.
Awesome promos. You know, so when the man needs to, he absolutely can deliver. And I think right now I think this is going to really supersede what anybody thinks, because I think Undertaker's out there to prove a lot of people wrong. And when you have somebody that has that much, not only influence, but respect, and that much, just when you think wrestling and people that just love and are passionate and deserve to be up there with the epic names, it's Taker, you know, and so for him to be challenged as being washed up, you put that on a man's shoulders and he's going to come back and prove you wrong.
I mean, they set this thing up for a return in 2010?
Yeah. Yep.
With the UFC fight? And
that was actually right. That was October 2010. I mean, they've been planting seeds for this for a long time. Long.
You have that stare down, and then you have ad-libbing like, I'm going to kill you. You're going to have to, from these two guys. Absolutely great. I loved every minute of it. You know, they didn't explain or hit on, and this is where I want to get on the commentary team. It baffles me, and I don't know why Kevin Dunn has gotten to this place of how he produces shows and directs shows. But holy crap, like, you don't explain why Lesnar's being arrested. Lesnar's telling the cop, don't touch me, and the cop is backing off of him. So no authority there. When Lesnar's being taken away and he's telling the cop to lay off him, and the guy lays off him, when in real life a cop would lay a nightstick to his neck. So you know, I love the fact that the commentary team bolted. Okay, the commentary team absolutely got the heck out of there. Perfect. It led to chaos. There's no stupid comments from either three of the guys over the situation. Very, very good. But when you come back and you replay Lesnar being arrested, why is there no explanation to why he got arrested and Undertaker wasn't? Like, other than Triple H saying there's no point for you coming tonight. At least have the authority explain, we arrested him because he showed up when he wasn't contractually obligated or asked to. Like, just give me something. Make the dots connect. I don't understand how they can not comment on this. And then the backstage interviews, which I saw all throughout the show Monday, and it's been a constant. I saw it at Battleground too, with like JoJo or Kyle Edwards if you're in Canada, or you know, like anybody else. You know, Tom Phillips, Renee Young. Why does an interviewer not throw back to the commentary team? There's no connection there. They're at the end of every promo, unless the superstar is apt enough to throw something in that awkward silence, every single backstage interview ends with, it's not, All right, guys, back to you. It's no Mean Gene Okerlund throwback so that there's connection in the production. It's, you have Cesaro telling Kevin Owens during SmackDown, which was an excellent backstage segment, by the way. You have Cesaro telling Kevin Owens, it's not fight Owens fight. Do what you do best. Walk Owens walk. And he walks away, and Owens goes, yeah, good luck there, buddy. Like in his best Canadian accent. All I wanted Cesaro was to go, I'm not your buddy guy. And then have Owens in the background go, I'm not your guy, friend. Something. But no, awkward silence. The interviewer just kind of staring at the screen like, I've been emasculated. And it's every single interview. There's this awkward stare, this awkward reaction at the end of the interview. Especially JoJo looks like she's been raped. Like she looks like she's been absolutely accosted, where she's just standing there like, and then it's a good, like seriously, 5 to 8 seconds of awkward silence, and then Michael Cole's and you're like, no, like why is there not a throwback? Like why is there Kevin Dunn? What is your problem?
Like, don't you think that even if they threw in a cheesy CSI Miami line where they all threw sunglasses on and it like kicked it like into the hoop, that would still be better than the transition of that awkward silence?
I mean, I would take that every week. If they wanted to cue up the interview going, like I would, at least that's something. That's like Conan O'Brien flipping the Walker Texas Ranger switch and we get a random clip to throw us to the next. I'm totally fine with that because I'm random. I would love that.
Yes.
But no, it's this.
No.
It's this puppy dog commercial where they're in the cage and in the arms of the angel, like beaten puppy staring into the screen. What's I don't understand it. It disconnects because they're doing excellent backstage like segments like especially which SmackDown, obviously the show, they just don't really care. The Cesaro Seth Rollins match from Thursday night, I watched it at work Friday on the replay and loved every minute of it. That match was incredible. They need to do more stuff between those two guys because holy crap, what a match that was. And then of course Owens coming in to do the run in at the end. He didn't even run in. He just walked down there with purpose. And I'm like, this is how you sell stuff. And this is how good this program can be with these guys in the main event. And they're doing excellent backstage promos except for the interviewers and the commentators. And I don't understand why Vince and Kevin Dunn are promoting them this way, because on NXT, outside of the awkward silences, the commentators are calling the matches, they're setting the feuds, and I know that they have time to do so because they're in studio, they're not there live, and they can edit and say whatever they want to say. But come on, guys, if you can't find live people, I'm not scripted right now. I'm making complete sentences. I'm not stuttering a lot. I'm not saying a lot. Like, it's not hard to find credible people that can sit there and talk to you in a very good manner. I've never heard Paul Heyman read a scripted promo in his life. Put his ass back on the commentator table if that's the case. Titus O'Neil's been doing a good job. But they have Jimmy Uso running commentary on Thursday nights, and that is terrible. Awful. Please get him off. He's just talking in slang the entire time. He's talking hood the entire time. Like everybody's name is Oos. I didn't see it. I'm glad I didn't see it. I want to go back and watch the match. The Owens and it's so good, dude. It's Rollins.
Yeah, I got to go back and catch that, but I completely missed SmackDown Thursday. So, fortunately, I didn't get to see the Usos or Jimmy Uso doing any of his commentary.
It's so bad, dude.
Thankfully. Hey, if anybody wants alternate Raw commentary, go to Rabble, watch our boys, the PBI guys, or listen to our boys, the PBI guys.
Sure that. Yeah, the PBI guys who are, they've been live tweeting with us on Monday nights, do an excellent job providing the commentary for the show. You can mute the TV, turn on Rabble, get those guys giving you some commentary, the whole thing. I know some of our fans have asked us to do that sometime. Frank and I have actually talked about doing that at some point, just shooting it and literally just providing commentary, legit commentary for smart fans, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, I just don't have the time for that if I'm going to run the website completely. So that can't happen right now. But maybe one week we'll get that done. We'll do something like that, and it'll be cool. We'll do it through Google Hangouts. We'll even have you guys come into Google Hangouts and look. I'll mute you all because I don't want you providing commentary on top of our commentary. But you can come in and chat and talk and all that kind of stuff. But I would love it. Like I said, the Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, the Cesaro and Seth Rollins match was phenomenal. Just as good. The product as far as match quality lately has been incredible. 2015 will go down as one of the best years for wrestling in WWE. Storylines have not been great. Characters are definitely on the fence, but they're in a rebuild process. They're trying, and everybody that keeps saying, I don't want to hear things like John Cena's killing off young guys because Bray Wyatt's fine. Everyone's into Bray Wyatt. Cesaro, obviously, fine. I don't like how one person's push gets shut down and moved to something different. And then everybody's like, oh, they're done. And then I've said it for a year and a half. Cesaro's not done. He wasn't done last April. They had to get him away from what they were doing with the Paul Heyman stuff, and now he's back. This is what we had to get to. Kevin Owens shot up faster than anybody else through NXT. If I hear one other person, I love that he's such a good heel that everybody, like casual fans, legitimately hate him. Like, legitimately hate him. We get, it doesn't matter what Kevin Owens story we post on WrestlingRumors.net. I'm getting comments on Facebook and on Twitter like, good, he's a fat F, and he doesn't need to touch John Cena. John Cena's the man. And I'm like, all the smart fans are praising, yay, Kevin Owens is awesome. And the casual fans are like, he's such a fatty and he's terrible. I hate him. And I'm like, good. You're supposed to hate. He is like the only credible heel in the company right now, outside of Seth Rollins, who they just broadcasted the fact that he did this workout routine. Like, it's all over the national news today. Seth Rollins does this workout routine with an autistic kid who wants to learn how to lose weight. Thought Seth Rollins was like chiseled like stone, which he is, and wanted him to come help him learn how to do CrossFit. And they actually gave him this like workout session with Seth Rollins, and it was the coolest and sweetest thing ever. And I'm like, dude, don't show this on national TV. That's your big heel. Like, that's your monster heel. That's the guy you're supposed to be like crybaby heel, just make you just angry to the point of wanting to punch your computer screen. And he's doing this sweet stuff. Like, that means to me that, Kevin Owens would probably do the same thing, but hopefully they won't broadcast it because he's such a good heel. That program is actually the opening, like, Raw 5-point preview with Owens and Cesaro for everybody, including Dave Meltzer, who immediately got shut the F up come Thursday. I love how on Monday you have a 6-man tag. I mean, it's literally right after Battleground. Dave Meltzer goes on Wrestling Observer Radio and says there's people backstage that just don't like Kevin Owens. He's not even going to be wrestling at SummerSlam. And I'm like, really? Because he just did 3 matches on pay-per-view with John Cena, and he's actually selling almost as like he's like the number 3 merchandise seller right now. He has more shirts on there than half the guys that have been there for the last 3 years. Damian Sandow has a stunt double Mizdow t-shirt, and Kevin Owens is selling he's like the number 3 seller of merchandise right now. Don't give me that crap. Don't tell me that I'm sure Kevin Dunn hates his guts because he's fat and he doesn't know how to produce him. But at the same time, his in-ring work is like you can't match it, and he's an incredible talker. So he is going to make money for this company if they build him right. And for the people that are literally like, man, they just don't like him enough to put him in a big match at SummerSlam. He's not going to wrestle at SummerSlam. He's not going to wrestle at SummerSlam at all. And then the next night, Tuesday night, Monday night, we get a 6-man tag main event with Kevin Owens in the main event and Cesaro in the main event. And of course, Sheamus and Randy Orton and Rusev. Rusev's in the main event. Who, remember when John Cena killed Rusev? Main event right there. You literally have this program between Cesaro and Kevin Owens getting the really big thrust into a feud Tuesday night during the SmackDown tapings. And I cannot believe that we're actually going to get this match. Like, I love that we're going to get this match, and I can't believe that most people didn't think we were going to get this match. Like, that's what I can't believe. I can't believe people were like, Kevin Owens is going to get pushed down, blah 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 blah. It's probably going to be like the number 3 match on the card. If it's a 4-hour show from 7 to 11, there's no way it's the 8 o'clock match. Okay, it's gonna be in the last 2 hours because they know these 2 guys are going to tear the house down, and they're not going to put a lot of people on after that unless it's the opening match to get the crowd riled up. So it's going to be one of those 2 because they are going to tear the house down. and I will lose my absolute mind at this event. But dude, what do you think about this whole Kevin Owens controversy where some people are saying he's not going to make it, blah, blah. I just feel like it's the whole Jim Cornette syndrome again, where people just see him lose twice, which he shouldn't have lost at Battleground in the way that he did. He should have lost, but he shouldn't have submitted if you're going to build this character into a huge heel. But to me, his loss at Battleground makes him even more of a whiny baby heel. He literally, in that backstage segment with Cesaro on SmackDown, was bragging about the fact that he's beaten Cena before. And Cesaro was like, yeah, but you didn't beat him last time. He was like, it doesn't matter. I beat him. And I'm like, that's what you need. He got beat, but he's still bragging about the one time he beat him.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, for me, I think that I understand why there's a lot of concern, because this has happened to us so many times in the past, you know, and I think so. I do see where some of it, you know, is coming from, but I think that, you know, and with the Meltzer report coming out, obviously that added fuel to the fire anyway. But knowing that Cesaro and Owens are going to go against each other, to be honest, guys, this is going to elevate both of them more than either of them working against John Cena.
Absolutely.
So I think that, you know, again, we had 5 weeks up until, you know, now but again, I do understand like why there would be, you know, some concern, because we have been, you know, fooled so many times in the past by mismanagement of talent, I guess is the, you know, the best way of saying it. But it's still very early now. You know, if WrestleMania comes around and we don't see Owens Zayn or, you know, Owens Lesnar, you know, Owens isn't featured in a big time match at Mania, or his, you know, let's give it some time, guys. Not right off the, you know, not necessarily right off the Cena angle. I'll admit I would have preferred to have seen. I think, well, we'll talk about Cena and Rollins later on, but yeah, but I think this is really going to be better for Cesaro and Owens both in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, what lies in store, but the dude's going to make the company a lot of money, and he should be the major heel in the next 2 years. I'm not saying it has to happen this coming year, but the guy, he's going to get way too popular way too quick, is what's going to happen, which we saw happen to Cesaro, and of course they squashed it because they didn't want him in that top spot at the time. You know, so they're going to have to work with Owens. Maybe that's what the deal is. Maybe they just don't want Owens in the main event spot, even though, dude, he's more popular as a heel than Seth Rollins is right now. You know, more people are hating him than they're hating Seth Rollins. So, you know, we'll see what. You know, it's good to move him away from John Cena. That way, you can establish a bona fide heel and face in a match, because, you know, John Cena is so split. I'm really like, now that, you know, we're talking about like Rollins and Cena and moving forward, and we got the seeds planted for a John Cena versus Seth Rollins match at SummerSlam last week on Raw. What do you think about that? Do you think that's the match we're going to see? Because I haven't been able to wrap my mind around that being the title match yet. Like, what would be the point? A title versus title? It doesn't make any sense.
No, I do. You know what? I do think that we see it before then. Or, I mean, I do think that's the match. And who's to say? We do have 4 weeks, so technically Cena could lose the U.S. title before SummerSlam. That is one thing that could happen. And I actually wouldn't even be surprised to see Cena walk out as champ. I'm not going to lie. I think there's something with, you know, with ratings being down.
Yeah.
They always hit the panic button, and who do they go to? John Cena.
And we said that's, you know, that was probably going to happen, was, you know, they're starting to lose faith in the work that Seth Rollins can do in a main event role, and that Vince may react drastically, which we already saw. You know, we saw the Brock Lesnar car destroying segment was 9 o'clock, and John Cena's U.S. Open Challenge was the main event that week with Cesaro. So you've already seen Vince starting to change. Look at the main event last week. Seth Rollins wasn't in the main event last week, so it's kind of obvious where Vince is going here. Are they going to pull the trigger and make Cena a 16-time world champion to tie Ric Flair?
Oh yeah. Oh, he's going to pass Flair. Don't. At the end of the day, he's gonna have 17, and that's something that we're all going to have to just accept, unfortunately. And it's whether it's. And he's had so many cheap like one night or like 1 month runs too that are just so cheap. But yeah, he's gonna end up breaking. And listen, and we could debate it all we want. But at the end of the day, I think they're gonna look at what sports entertainment is now, not what wrestling is then. And I think they're gonna want Cena to have that championship. Just like they, you know, want certain people. They just want certain things. And because it is. at the end of the day, he was manufactured by them. You know, he was a fan favorite first, guys. Don't forget, he was a fan favorite because of how lampoony the Doctor of Thugonomics character was, and that's when we all loved him. It's when they started manufacturing him when we started hating him and despising the character, not the man. I know we always got to say that, but at the end of the day, when you look at he's been there through a lot of tough spots, and you know, and love him or hate him, you could argue that he's probably been the greatest. I hate saying this, but you could argue that he could be the greatest sports entertainer of all time. So why would he not have 17 championships? And in today's modern era, he's going to break the record.
I would say he's the greatest. He's the greatest salesman. Let's be real.
Well, that's all they care about now.
He's the greatest salesman for the company.
And that's
greatest wrestler / sports entertainer. I would throw money on the table to say never in a million years would John Cena even say he's the greatest sports entertainer or wrestler. As far as seller of merchandise, seller of a product, superhero cut dude, he's that all day long.
But at the end of the day, isn't that all that matters? Because they keep saying, you know what, you say no, but what was the big push? Roman Reigns was supposed to get that big Cena push, right? Until the fans really resisted. He was supposed to be there. They just haven't found the replacement for Cena. They always need that super baby face that they can push to the moon and that clean cut that they can always have. They want a certain image for that people can look up to, and they just haven't found it yet. So
it's what matters to Vince McMahon.
That's absolutely. Listen, that's McMahon and Dunn. Cena is absolutely their boy, and I will admit that I think a lot of his success was, again, a lot of people left. A lot, the timing was right. Timing is everything in wrestling, though. Timing is right with everything. But at the end of the day, for how much money, like you said, how much money he's made that company, that's what's going to get him that 17th championship. It's not that he's the greatest sports entertainer, but it is the amount of money that he's made that company. And right now, they're going to care more about John Cena rather than we always make the joke about drunken Ric Flair every time he shows up to Raw. And I think at the end of the day, it's the image is everything thing, and they're going to want John Cena as their 17-time champ. That he's their golden boy. So why wouldn't he break the record?
Right, but in the realm of professional wrestling, he is not the greatest sports entertainer ever. I'll tell you, I will argue that all day. Is he the most important thing to Vince McMahon? Absolutely. But will he be a 2-time Hall of Famer? No. Ric Flair is a 2-time Hall of Famer, and no one will ever take that away. Now the interesting thing, and I guess now we'll talk about it before we talk anything else about Raw, because it's actually what everybody wanted us to start talking about in the chat room as soon as the chat room started. And I know Ed was on Twitter, instantly going like, I know what the first topic's going to be. Let's talk about it, because somebody that was supposed to be a 2-time Hall of Famer with Ric Flair was Hulk Hogan. Now even the mention of that name has a cringeworthy effect to it because of everything that's happening. It's like a mixture, and I'll just explain how I feel, and then Adam can talk about the whole situation to him. I have this like disappointed sympathy for the guy. And this is just me. I feel like, there's absolutely no place for racism, especially. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter where you are. There's no place for racism in this world. We have to love each other and get along with each other and be like absolutely respectful of other people. We have to be able to treat others as we would want to be treated, or else you're never going to be treated the way that you want to be treated. It's the number one, law of the land as humans. We need to treat each other as we would want to be treated. Does that happen every day? Absolutely not. Do people make mistakes because we're human beings? Absolutely, we do. Who in their right mind can say that they've never had a thought process of, man, I really don't like that guy, or this person's rubbed me the wrong way, or who has never said something about somebody else that they would be absolutely regretful for saying and would immediately apologize for it? And I just feel sympathy for the guy, because this was, and it again, I'm not condoning it, because there's no place for racism in this world. We shouldn't, especially in this day and age, shouldn't be, and it goes both ways. Every race and creed has bigotry towards another. And I'm in the South, man. I'm in the state where a guy viciously murdered people for no reason at all other than hatred. And it sickened me when that happened. And my wife is from that area. Her brother was one of the cops chasing him down in Charleston. I have no tolerance for, I'm glad that WWE, responded. But at the same time, like, I have no tolerance for racism, but at the same time, put yourself in Hogan's shoes for just 2 seconds and just think about the fact that this is something that you said in private 8 years ago. And private racism is still racism, so I'm not condoning that either. But the guy had his privacy violated as well. This was stuff that was taped without his knowledge and sold behind his back. And it's very embarrassing to his entire family. It's embarrassing to the guy. I'm not condoning or supporting Hulk Hogan in this situation. I need to keep repeating that, which, even though I shouldn't have to repeat it, because you should know, as a human being that loves other people, unless you're a racist yourself, racism is not okay. And it's not, there's no place for it. I don't care if Vince McMahon said that word on TV in 2005. It shouldn't have been said then, and it was. And I hate the fact that WWE is trying to cover that up as that's what, TV and movies say it. So why can't we? That's bogus. You cannot use that as your defense in this matter. It's stupid. You shouldn't have said it then. Booker T has gone on record 90,000 times as saying he was so regretful that he said it, but growing up in, the hood, in the streets, he literally used that word in every sentence every day on the street. And so when he got heated, he said it, but even he, and same thing, like, there's no excuse for what you said. It's one of those things where, hatred for another person just because their skin color or belief system is so, our people, our country tries to act like it doesn't exist, except for when a certain race is saying it, or when a certain group of people are thinking it or doing it, and it's crazy how this system of nationality works. Because if you are, like, I've heard, I have one of my best friends, Ken J. McKenzie. He is a 300-pound black man, played football with me for years. We are very, very close friends. He'll tell you straight up, like, he can walk into a bar and say, yo, white girl, and have no issue. But if someone says, yo, black dude, instantly an issue. So there's a lot of like stereotypes and issues with even saying that, like, and so there's a lot of stuff in this country that's messed up, but we're all people who all screw up and all legitimately need to start trying to learn how to love each other instead of hate each other. And that's where, that's where the sympathy comes in, but it's a disappointed sympathy. I don't condone Hulk Hogan. I hate that he said it. He needed to be fired. He doesn't need to be represented by the company. As far as trying to scrub everything that he did in the past, that's kind of stupid to me. But as far as promoting him in the future, it doesn't need to happen. And I hope that people can understand that and stop saying that WWE should have kept him on board, because there's no place for it, and it's a PR nightmare.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, and the one thing that with Booker T too is you could even see when Booker T had his little slip up on TV, the instant regret. I mean, it's not like he said it and then, I mean, he said it and then instantly turned, and like you could tell that, and Sherry really had to like kind of calm him down and just like get him through the rest of the moment. It seemed like, this is where I'm at, guys. And I've been making a lot of jokes on Twitter the past couple of days because that's how I deal with a lot of stuff, is comedy. So I think comedy is what truly brings people together at the end of the day. And so, if I've offended anybody, I mean, I guess, I apologize, but, that's just that's my way of getting through. And, honestly, I've never been a Hogan fan. So, it's one of those where I wasn't necessarily surprised by what he said, because you have to think about perspective. I'm going to get a little personal with the story here, guys. So, and it's just for perspective on this. My family on my dad's side's mixed. I have black cousins, I have nieces, nephews. The guy that's, that's really, I'm an only child, but the guy that's my brother is black, So I've seen, racism firsthand. I've been witness to it. There was a situation when I think I was like 8 years old. My grandfather, I didn't notice at the time, actually in the early 60s, walked with Martin Luther King around in the area that I live in. And was really pushing for equal rights within the mills, within different things like that. Well, he's a 100%, was 100% Italian, and he got ostracized, by the Italian community up here. Got, death threats till he moved to South Carolina, Conway, South Carolina, till like the mid 90s. And I didn't know in the late 80s, long story short, we were at a public pool, and there were some, teenage kids that were pretty much just push me back and forth, hold me underwater. I mean, I'm a 8-year-old kid, but calling me N-word, lover, this, that, and the other thing. And I never even really, I heard the word, but didn't know really, long story short, guys, from that point, I just really started, understanding a little bit more about that word, because I didn't get it. Like, why am I getting called this, at this point? But at the end of the day, guys, it's a divisive word that nobody should use, because there is a lot of hate behind it. And the thing is that it's not okay for one race to use it or in another race to use it. Like, I don't want to hear, well, it's okay for them to use it. No, it's not okay for any of us to use it, and I'm such a non-PC guy that I think that, like, words don't offend me, but this is the one word, just because of family, because of loved ones, that, and, firsthand experiences. Now, I will say this though, in this Hogan situation, and again, I'm not defending what he's saying, because what he said, it did hurt a little bit, but listen, I'm 35. My dad's 56. I'd be lying to you if I said my dad never said that. You know what I mean? I mean, how many of us are sitting here right now watching this or listening to this? How many can you honestly say that your parents have not said the same thing, who might be younger than Hulk Hogan? We have to think about the age. We have to, and it's unfortunate. And I'm not condoning this, guys. I'm not condoning what he said. But there's not a single one of us on this planet that, if you take us at our worst moment, that wouldn't get, it's just unfortunate that Hulk Hogan, it's unfortunate that Hogan is put under such a spotlight, because the interesting thing is that Hogan's the biggest joke in the world until he says something stupid. And what offended me even more about this was, yes, all I saw was the alleged transcript, but there was an interview that he did on Shade 45 where he was basically talking about how he was given, he was kind of given the okay by Wayne and like Lil Wayne in the game to use it, or they just never corrected him or something like that. And he was just really, that offended me more than what was going on in Hogan's statements, only because it's such a divisive word, and it's such a splitting word in today's United States and all over the world, that why was nobody on Shade 45 stopping Hogan, saying, dude, brother, Jack, you shouldn't be saying that. Like, we get what you're saying, like, but maybe you shouldn't be saying it either. Like, it's something that, guys, it's either we all can say it or none of us should be able to say it.
Absolutely.
And I know it's said with absolute, and I understand there's different ways that it's said. And because I've unfortunately have been, I pull the race card more than I should, guys, and I'll admit that, to the point where I'm probably an Uncle Tom for being white. I've made that joke before, and I've been called everything from, I've been called racial slurs. I've been called mixed, half breed, and I'm just white. I got a bunch of tattoos. I don't know what I am. I'm like 35 different things. At the end of the day, guys, it's like, I don't understand why that is a big deal, because yes, it's unfortunate that he said it, but think next time you're at a family gathering, and I don't care what color you are, you have relatives that say the same thing. Are you criticizing them? How do you love them? How does your mindset? And listen, and I'll admit, I despise Hulk Hogan as a fan, and just, I think that, and it's funny because the fan in me was like, I don't know. I'm still it actually pisses me off more now, because this deflects off, like, do people now forget that he gave his kid a bunch of alcohol and knew that they were going to go drag racing and there's a dead kid because of it? But he said the N-word, and now that's the worst thing he's ever done. I mean, we all have skeletons dancing in our closets waiting to come out. If this is the worst thing Hogan's done, is say the N-word in a fit of rage, and I'm not condoning it. And the word is like nails on a chalkboard to me, guys. Just to put it in perspective, I didn't watch Django Unchained for like the longest time, because I knew that the overuse of the word, and that's why I'm a hypocrite too, because I say how much I hate the word, but I'm the first one to watch Dave Chappelle. I'm the first one to watch Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, so it's, we have to, I'm the first one to throw a Jay-Z CD in, we have to be careful. But at the end of the day, guys, it's about, all this is doing is just, it's a way to divide us more. It's a way to get us just arguing. And for there's bigger racial issues in this country than Hulk Hogan saying the N-word. And I think for me, that's what pissed me off the most about it, is that, so if a 60-year-old white man said it, welcome to America, guys. And I'm not saying it's right, but generationally, it's probably going to go away. But at that point, that generation, it's still, there's different ways it was said. And I'm not, again, it's still hurtful, and it's divisive. But there's times it's not it's like Donald Sterling. Why is it surprising, guys? We acted like it's that surprising.
Right.
I guess for me, I was more offended that people were surprised. And this was like a headline on like CNN and like major news stations. People were like, are you kidding me? And I'm not saying what, and again, it's horrible. I remember talking to somebody in the fall that wanted to go out as not Deuce Staley, as wanted to go out as somebody for Halloween, Icky Woods. And, because of the whole commercial that was out, and they were going to go out in blackface. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea, man. I don't think that's a good idea. And I was like, why? But it's just for a character. And I was like, I'm just saying, I'm not sensitive about stuff, guys. But for this, it didn't surprise me. And the only reason why I'm kind of going along with this, guys, is that I will admit it. I pull the race card more than I should. And I pull it quick. And it is because I feel like I'm protecting those I love, my brother, my cousin. But hell, my cousin has a Confederate flag. My cousin, I get darker than he does. And Thad Smith, I'm calling you out if you're watching this. So at the end of the day, it's just, I'll admit I'm one of those guys that I usually am very hypersensitive when it comes to that word. But this time, I just think everyone's overreacting. It's a shame, but for me, it's nothing more than comedy material for me. That's it.
But it's one of those things too. Like I'm reading, like in the chat room, like Jazz is saying, it's the fact he said it with hate and anger, and it's all in context. And I'm like, no. So that's where the issue is. Like, I should like my buddy Kenjay shouldn't be able to say, because he's called me that before, because I am his best friend and he uses that word all the time. Like he literally does. Like I'll tell Kenjay right now if he's watching, he knows. We were in high school. I was literally like part of the football crew, and most of them were African American, and he literally would tell me, you're my N-word. Like that's it. And I don't care if there's an ER on the end of it or an A on the end of it. It doesn't matter. That word is so divisive in this country. It shouldn't be okay for context to decide when it's used, because if you have somebody like Donald Sterling or Hulk Hogan as a 60-year-old white man say it, and it's news and we're destroying their life because of it, and there's an 80-year-old black man who has raped almost 40 women and is being protected by the government and not being arrested and put in jail, Bill Cosby, there is a huge racial divide in this country, no matter how you want to put it or say it. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's the Bill Cosby situation or if it's Hulk Hogan situation, that word shouldn't be used. And the fact that you heard on an interview, you had to have people like Lil Wayne approve of Hulk Hogan to say it, give him permission to say it. Like it's a word that should be able to be said by one race, one creed, and not the other, because of the hatred behind that word for so many years in a race war that is still raging and should not be. It shouldn't be used by anybody. Period.
And I agree. Whoever put that in the chat room, I absolutely agree, because they're absolutely, the way he said it was 100% filled with hate. And I think for me, that's why even if they do end up leaking the tape, I'm not going to listen to it, just because I don't know. It's just, sometimes it's too hard for me. I can't, sometimes
but you can't justify it because it's filled with hate.
No, agreed.
Even if it was lovingly said, it doesn't matter. That word has such a sting to it. No one should use it.
That's the thing. And it's funny because my brother that is black, he doesn't use the word. And and he doesn't use the word because of personal experiences, being called it. And he was called it every day for, I don't know. I mean, listen, I live in We call this Wanker County, Pennsylvania. It's a county outside of Pittsburgh. It's Beaver County. There's actually a big Beaver Township in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. This is how hillbilly some of this is. Apologize to any hillbillies out there. It's just, come on, now we can laugh about this. But no, but listen, like my brother's, he got tired of hearing it so much, he doesn't say it. You know, it's just a word he removed, unless he's listening to Jay. I'll admit, he'll admittedly get on that too. But it's just one of those that I think that again, it's, yes, there was a lot of hate in how he said it, but I'm sure that we've all said things that, you know, granted, this is the big one, guys, and this is why I don't think anybody should use it, because this is the big one, and I don't think it should be a term of endearment, and I don't think it should be a term of slander either. And you know, I hope people notice that this is a joke, and it's just lazy, because I mean, come on, really, white people, by now that's still all you got. That's a joke, guys, for anybody I'm trying to, you know, break the ice here. But at the end of the day, though, there's not a person watching this that doesn't have a family member. And let me ask you this: would you disown that family member? And I completely agree with WWE. They should have, you know, the working relationship should have ended. The scrub is a little, you know, I think that's just for right now. The scrub's gonna, you know, that won't necessarily, it's not gonna stick, but it's the right PR move for right now.
Absolutely.
I just think that it's. And I don't want to say Hogan's being used as a scapegoat, but Hogan's being used as misdirected scapegoat for there's real racism in this country. And I understand that how he said it was absolutely hateful, but there's legitimate racism. I truly don't absolutely know know if Hogan is a racist or not. I don't, and because by definition, a racist, I'd like to remind everyone, a racist by definition thinks he or she's own race is superior to every other's, which I think we all are, because the human race is superior to everything else, because we're broken down into ethnicity, not race. That's where this whole thing blows my mind into a different atmosphere. But at the end of the day, if we're really going to break down like ethnicities, no, I don't necessarily think that at the end of the day, Hogan is a racist. I think that Hogan said some things that he absolutely regrets, just like we all have. Just because I've never said the N-word doesn't mean I haven't said some stuff that people wouldn't get offended by. You know what I mean? And if someone was privately taping me and made that public, yeah, I mean, I would have to offer an apology. You know, I'm not condoning or protecting what he said. It got exposed, and now he's going to serve a punishment far worse. I mean, and it's not public humiliation. You know, you get what's coming to you guys, but you have to think now. This man is a worldwide figure that, because he said something that, think about it, most of your family probably says in one way or another. It's our generation that's really starting to break that stigma of using the word as much as how it used to be, guys. This is a word that we forget that civil rights really just ended in the 60s. Everything is still very fresh with this country, guys. And that's why I think race is so sensitive, that we've never had true conversations about this, guys. You know, people thought that, oh, okay, black people got rights, everything's fine. No, because there's been racism. There's always been racism. And, you know, I feel like we're the first generation that can finally say, you know what, if we do have a problem with this, then let's stop using it altogether. Right. Because it is dividing us as a people. I mean, and I'm so anti-PC police, and I really am. But even that being said, I've still never used it, just out of personal. You know, I have friends that say it. I have, but they don't use it as much around me. I've noticed, you know. But at the same time, you're not going to stop people from saying it unless nobody says it.
Right, and I mean, and again, like, you know, Jazz saying in the chat room, you know, I'm a black person, and for me, it's all about the context in which that word is used. Like in the South, that doesn't happen. Like it doesn't work that way. Like the context isn't like, as far as, you know, a black person saying it to a black person, the context, it works that way. But if I said it, no matter the context, I'm going to be labeled a racist. It doesn't matter how I say it, where I say it, the context in which I say it. If I say it because I am white and I live in the South, I am going to be labeled a racist. That is how our society reacts to things if they don't like it, and that's how it would be. And if that's the case, then no one should use it, because as a white person that listens to, say, Jay-Z, and I'm in my car, and if my windows are down and I'm rapping every word to the unedited version of Jigga What Jigga Who, which is not the word that he uses there, and I'm singing it, or Jiggas in Paris. Okay, I'm not saying Jigga if I'm rapping every word to it. I can guarantee you I'm probably saying the words that he's saying. That's an issue, right? Because I'm saying that word as a white person in South Carolina with my windows down and somebody's looking at me like this in the car next to me. I'm not saying it maliciously. I'm not saying it out of context. I'm saying it with the song, but I'm looked at as racist because I'm saying it to that song. Like that. That's why that word has so much power. And there's a lot of words like that. And there's a lot of issues, like there's a lot of racial issues that aren't dealt with, and it's on both sides of the fence, and it's on multiple sides, whether you're Latin or you're black or you're white or you're Asian, or there's racial stereotypes. You know, you and I have talked about this. Racial stereotypes exist. A lot of them have truth behind it, and that's why the comedy surrounding racial stereotypes has been used for generations, and you know, it's something that all comedians dip into, because we all do have differences to us, but we should be embracing and making light of and enjoying those differences instead of hating someone for those differences. And that's where the issues come up, man. You can't hate somebody, but at the same time, if it's okay for someone to say that word in a different context and someone over here hears it and they use it later, even if it's out of context, this is where the issue comes about. They shouldn't be able to use that daggone word if there's that much issue. If you have to look at the context, because God knows someone may hear you say it as a white man in the South rapping Jay-Z, and I'm going to be labeled a racist for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, guys. I've asked white friends and family members not to say it as much. I've asked black friends and family members not to say it as much. And it's something that I and that's just, it's a weird thing. And I have.
For fans watching this that aren't in the chat room, one of our most trusted and awesome chatters, Punkin Wrestling, literally just said, "Wait, so Will Smith wasn't saying get jiggy with it?" That's freaking hilarious. Sorry, because if you replace that J with an N, that's a really funny title, Will Smith.
And see, and that's the thing. It's and it is the divisiveness of the word. But if the word is, and this is where I have to say there has to be progress on both sides, because what's happening now is that the go-to word now for even people like me who pull the card way too quick, guys. I'll admit I do pull the race card way too quick as a white dude on my own white people, I guess, if you want to call my own, which I even hate saying. That makes me sound weird even saying that. That's so uncomfortable to even say. Right. But like because I don't like being pigeonholed as that. I feel like that it's an idea, but that's a different topic for a different thing. But no, I just don't. For me, it's just like I don't surround myself with people to say that word. I don't say it a lot. I don't say it a lot. I don't say it at all. My friends don't say it a lot if they say it at all. And if they do, they don't say it a lot around me because they know. And it's funny that, even family members that, they have quit. It's just, if we really want to change, guys, if this word truly, which to me is a white male who's covered in tattoos, if it's that divisive to me, and I'm saying that, listen, I don't think anybody should say this, because if it truly does have that, and I'll never truly understand, but I've been indirectly the victim of racism, whether it be called this, that, or the other thing. The best way of just stopping that word from being in circulation is nobody use it at all, because there is so much hate. And if there's that much hate behind a word, there absolutely can be no term of endearment in it whatsoever. Here's one thing. I'm Italian, guys. So if you throw the red flag, I don't even like to say I'm Italian because I'm like 35 different things, but I'm Italian, so I can get away with saying Dago, right? Oh, I can get away with saying Dago or WAP, but if anybody else says it, God forbid, everyone's going to go crazy and the world's going to end. I don't say Dago, I don't say WAP. I mean, it's, right, I'm using it as an expression here, but there's reasons why I don't put them in my vocabulary. There's racial slurs I don't use because I don't use racial slurs. So the easiest way to get this issue over with is that nobody used it, and stop pulling the quick racism card. And because I do it to a fault, guys, I'll admit that's something I personally have to work on. And I'm surprised that I wasn't more taken back by this Hulk Hogan thing. I was actually more surprised by the overall outrage of like,
right.
Surprised by it. Because again, it's a 60-year-old white man. I mean, it's
Right.
and this is America that it's a 60-year-old white man that spent his life ripping black culture,
Right.
trying to tan himself as close to being black as
Right.
possible.
Absolutely.
And rode in a motorcycle guy. I mean, are you telling me that you didn't think this dude said the N-word somewhere? I mean, that I was more offended. So I think that, and I don't get me wrong, I am still offended by the racist nature in which he used the word. But I am offended anytime the word's used anyway. I am oversensitive to race, and I get that, and I shouldn't be, because I know I'm just a token white dude that shouldn't, But at the end of the day, if you really want a word to go away, nobody should use it. Period.
Yeah.
Otherwise. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's right, but you're always going to have that extreme percent of people that are going to say, well, if they can say it, we can too. And I'm not condoning those people, because those people are just as wrong.
Yep.
But you're always going to have those people. It's just the way that the world is.
What do you mean, those people?
Yeah, right. Back to Tropic Thunder, right? Yeah,
right,
exactly. And there we go. Nobody had a problem with Tropic Thunder. And I was really not cool going into Tropic Thunder. I'm not going to lie. If it was anybody but Robert Downey Jr., and I hate to say that, I was like, man, this is not going to be – I cannot see this. I am offended. I mean, thankfully, I'm glad that I did. But think about that. Like, I mean, it's something that we tolerate in every other manner. But because when it brings us together to laugh, when it brings us together to laugh, it's fantastic, and I get it. So like when it's an Eddie Murphy or a Pryor, or we're talking about a movie, But at the same time, now I'm starting to think that even in entertainment, or even in when you're trying to bring people together, maybe it's not the right thing, because it's causing more friction. It's causing more of a social divide than, because really, guys, it's not. It really shouldn't be black white anymore. It's them versus us now.
Absolutely.
So we all need each other more than we ever did before.
Absolutely. And even there's even racism in what you're saying with which comedians are using that word.
Absolutely.
And which rappers use that word.
Absolutely.
Because and Jazz was like, there's plenty of white kids in Jersey that grew up next to her that say it all the time, and it's okay. Well, that's fine for Jersey. I'm in South Carolina. It ain't gonna fly, bro. It ain't gonna fly, and that's why it shouldn't be used, because there's a lot more states in this country. That you cross that Mason-Dixon line, bro, and it's not okay for a white person to even get close.
And that's a problem.
Even if I'm speaking French and I use the word for white, which is negro, and I say that, which is almost negro. If I use that, it's so close to negro that if I say negro, even if I use the word negro in South Carolina, I'm a racist. And I'm gonna get tweets and comments here that says I'm a racist now because I just used the term negro. But if I'm speaking French or Spanish and I use negro or something like that.
And Doug, my brother and I lived in North Carolina for a while. I mean, that's how I met my wife. I mean, me and Mike lived down there. And the thing is that I saw it. The race. It is. Listen, if you're saying that one white person can say it, and I understand that there's hate behind it, but that's just like saying, anybody watching this growing up when you were a little kid, how many people said that's retarded? I don't use the word now because I know how much it hurts people. But when we were growing up, 14, 15, 16 years old, 17, 18, how many of us said it? Probably every single person watching this right now. Not many of us say it now, though, because we know how much it hurts people. So my retort would be like, I've been given the card to say it. I've been given the card. I won't say it. I refuse to say it. I never have said it because I don't think it's a word that any white person should use, period, let alone anybody. And I think that's where, a lot of the confusion comes in. It's not cool to say one white dude can say it, or a group of white kids can say it, another group can't, or whatever. That's part of the problem with that. At the end of the day, if it's that big of an issue, nobody should be saying it, period. It's not okay for just because they're cool. I have family, mixed family, guys, mixed family. Trust me, it is not okay for white kids to say that word. If you're a white dude out there, please do not say that word. If you're a white chick out there, please do not say that word. Don't.
Yeah, I know we have people in the chat that are complaining that we're still talking about this. Dude, this is a topic that people need to hear and talk about. I'm sorry if I'm using my form to talk about it right now. We're going to get back to Raw, but we needed to talk about it. Bye, Jimmy. If you want to leave because you say enough, you need to get back to talking Raw. Dude, find another show. We're here. We're going to talk about Raw. We were talking about it earlier. We need to stop and talk about this because it's a very relevant issue that a lot of people, we got a lot of different races and creeds watching this show. And guess what? They're from all different nations, and we all need to talk about it, because I guarantee you, in other nations, this stuff doesn't seriously still exist, but it exists in ours. And
Doug, here's another thing too, is that this is something that not only from a wrestling standpoint, yes, I know we might be spending a little bit more time on this, and this sounds like this should be more of like a politics type of deal, but this is the one story that crossed over into mainstream media, and that's why we are spending as much time on it as we are, is because it isn't just the wrestling community that's talking about Hulk Hogan. It's TMZ, it's ESPN, it's CNN, it's Fox News, it's MSNBC. I always forget what that one is.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Now I'm going to get called a weirdo conservative. Meanwhile, my whole life I got called a hippie liberal, which I can't wait to see what kind of hate I'm going to get later on.
I embrace the hate. I'm very Cena when it comes to hate. I'm very much embracive.
You know, it's just such but that's why we're talking so much about it. This is because now everybody, again, like we always say, when it comes to wrestling, and as soon as wrestling crosses over, who's the first line of defense for professional wrestling most often? Us fans. Who do our family and friends go to? Oh, I heard, like with the CM Punk stuff, I heard CM Punk dropped this. Who is this CM Punk dude? I need to hear about him. When Lesnar came back. Oh, Lesnar came back. Do I need to start watching wrestling again? Okay, what happened with Hulk? What's going on? So, of course, it's something that we have to talk about, guys, because it's unfortunately the story that crossed over. But the reason why it crossed over into mainstream media, guys, is because we are making this word such an issue. It either has to be completely let go, where unfortunately we're going to have to learn to live with hearing it, or people are going to have to stop using it, because it's either one or the other. We're never going to find a happy medium with this word. And there's a lot of words. Let's think about it, guys. There's a lot of racial slurs that aren't used in circulation anymore. There's a ton. Why are we hanging on to this word?
Right. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. And I think it's mainly because it gets used by a lot of people. Kind of in a Clerks 2 way, where they feel like it's their word now. They've taken it back, and it shouldn't be used at all by anybody. So that's where that goes. Speaking of different races and stuff, because we talk about Hulk Hogan got busted for being taped secretly. Let's talk about WWE and how many racial stereotypes they have built characters upon for years, absolute years. If you don't think Vince has some of that racism in him, you have lost your mind.
Come on, guys. Virgil was an on-screen slave.
He was an on-screen slave.
Absolutely. Virgil was a slave. And think about this. And this is when Hulk Hogan was champion. And I'm not saying link the two together, but what I'm saying in a joking manner is this is why are we surprised that he said this? And that's why I'm so passionate about, I'm more concerned that people are so it's because he said it. It's think about just the time him growing up. We had an on-screen a shoe shine boy.
Yeah.
Think about this. In hindsight, how messed up that is. We went through the Mexicools. That was a fun one. Eugene was great. That was cool. Crime Time, that wasn't there was nothing stereotypical.
Yo.
Let me see. Muhammad Hassan was one of my favorite characters ever. Anybody, you can hate on me all day long. Who
was squashed by Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
I don't know what that theme song is, because they don't let anybody play it anymore.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, you think about it, dude. I mean, we still have them. They're on the roster right frickin' now, dude. Anytime a black superstar breaks out of the mold, it seems like they always try to put a rap song as their entrance theme. Let's be real, that happens. There are 2 Puerto Rican cats dressed up like Spanish matadors right now, with a little person being called a bull, not even being referred to as a little person in a bull costume. He is a literal bull. They say freaking interspecies matches when he's in matches. Like, he's not a bull. He is a man. He is a little man. He is not a bull. So you have all these issues that come up about it, and it's, Hot Chief Peter Maivia had this huge headdress. If anything, Rey Mysterio embraced the Mexicanity of himself and used all those things for himself, and he embraced that and used that. But like Eddie Guerrero coming out in a lowrider was not his idea. I guarantee you it wasn't his idea. Kerwin White, if you want to go ahead and just take a Latin and try to make him a white kid in a golf shirt and a golf cart, not okay. That was around the same time as Mexicools as well. Hey, Randy, Baptist is with a P. I'm in the South, bro. I know how to spell Baptist. It's not Babtist. But Vince, I mean, Vince has said stuff behind closed doors like crazy, right? And just never been caught. And so I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff in every, a lot of different things. I mean, Devon being Reverend Devon was very stereotypical. I mean, it's easy to go to stereotypes when you're trying to come up with stuff. I mean, Jimmy Wang Yang was a big one. It's just there's different things that people try to do, but we'll take the 5 white kids and make them cheerleaders. So there's a lot of things. Now Tatanka and like Chief J Strongbow and Chief Eagle, like those guys embraced it. They came up with those characters themselves. Dusty Rhodes came up with the American Dream himself. Like those are things that people went ahead and said, okay, I know I'm this. I can't be anything other than this. I'm going to be this. But I guarantee you, Juventud Guerrero did not want to be coming out on a John Deere tractor flying a Mexican flag and being called the Mexicools. That just, to me, that just doesn't seem like that would be something that you would want to do. They tried to do it with Rusev, who they tried Russian gimmicks with everybody beforehand. Most notably before that. I mean, look at Santino Marella, man. I love Santino, dude. He was one of the most entertaining things on the show every single time he came out. I love Santino Marella. I miss Santino Marella. I'm sorry. I loved him as a comedic character. He was phenomenal. Who could actually wrestle as well. But they made him use that stupid accent all the time because his name was Santino Marella. It's not even his real name. Like he wasn't a real Italian when he hopped the rail the first time in 2006. He's Italian by ethnicity, not by region. He's Canadian, dude. He's Canadian. So it's one of those things where they're gonna exploit racism as much as possible, but the one guy saying one word gets ostracized like crazy because it's a PR thing, and that's how it is. Speaking of Hogan-related stuff, though, before we get into Wyatt family stuff, and then we got to get out of here. I know it's been a really long show so far, but it's been a really good show. I've really enjoyed the conversation that we've had. But Raw gets started in 20 minutes, so we're gonna try to wrap it up here because we got a few more things to talk about. Hogan. One of the cool things that came about from the Hogan situation inadvertently. What happened to Santino Hoyt? He had a serious neck injury. He's been getting healthier. He's been getting stronger. Actually, he's been training and working in an MMA wrestling studio that he owns, a Taekwondo and wrestling studio in Canada. And he's gotten stronger. And he says that he thinks. We actually did an interview with him a few months ago. Where he didn't use the accent a lot. He tried, and then by the end of it, when he was talking about WWE, he was definitely in character, and then when he was talking about his studio, he stopped. So he's a really cool dude, and he was talking about he's getting stronger and thinks that he may be able to come back and do some spots here and there, but he's never going to be a full-time wrestler again. It's just not going to happen. But Hogan-related stuff, Curtis Axel is no longer Axelmania. They made him shave his face. And he is babyface, which is weird. I'm pretty sure they told him when he got to the live event, you can't use this anymore because he had to wrestle in jean shorts, black jean shorts, cargo shorts almost. And that was his gear Friday night and Saturday night. So I don't know if he's going to go back to wearing, actual trunks or not. But Curtis Axel, no more Axelmania gimmicks. Sandow was just Damian Sandow in black trunks and green knee pads. So I'm excited to see what happens here. I really think if they let these guys get in the tag division and do something right, that we may see, because the two guys are entertaining, period. If they are given the chance to be entertaining, they're going to entertain. If there's one thing that we've been shown through their imitation, they can entertain. They just need to be allowed to do so. When Ryback Axel was getting hot at the end there before Ryback got injured, Curtis Axel's being very entertaining in that heel tag team. And I think if they let Sandow and Axel be entertaining and be trollish and be sarcastic and be funny, they'll get over. So I'm very, one of the most revered, Jazz is right, we missed one about the racism thing. One of the most revered and talked about like must-see Raw moments was D-Generation X in blackface, doing a Nation parody. So you know, that's that is. And what's double standards? There's double standards everywhere, man.
And what's interesting, real quick, because I know we're pressed for time, but if you watch the Monday Night Wars on the network, you could tell X-Pac really wasn't comfortable with it at all. It was kind of like he was just like, really, I have to. But then they cut to Mark Henry, and Mark Henry was like, "Listen, funny is funny, and the bit was funny. I mean, it is what it is."
Right.
But you could tell X-Pac really wasn't into it, man. Like he was just not really feeling it at all.
I love how many people jump on the Miz-Mark Henry thing because he used such black face that it was like super offensive. The rest of them had paint on, like the rest of them had makeup on to make themselves brown. They were all in blackface. One, they were in brown face and then blackface, if you want to go that far. But they were all in blackface.
And the funniest part about that is that you would think X-Pac would have got the most heat off of it because he did. I mean, he was in the most blackface, you know, and he was the one. Think about, and this is where perception, I think, sometimes we have to ease back on perception and reality, because the perception you would think out of that whole group was like, damn, X-Pac's probably a racist, blah, 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 you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he didn't even really feel comfortable really doing it. So It's like, it's just one of those, like, again, with Hogan, not defending him, because I'll never really defend Hogan in my life, because I think that, I don't know, the reason why I don't like Hogan, we can go on for
let's get off of Hogan.
But back to the whole X-Pac thing. But back to the X-Pac thing, though, it's funny though that he wasn't even really comfortable with doing it, you know?
Right. And so that's where that goes. But Sandow and Axel can do something right if they give them time to. And I'm excited to see where they go. I've always said Damien Sandow could be a standout if they allow him to be. Obviously, they try to give him his breakout promo and based his whole career on that. And it was a Green Bay crowd that just didn't care. And that sucks. But at the same time, put him in the Chicago crowd, the place is going to lose their mind. So I think they could do good, because the tag team division needs a team like that. Look at how racially diverse the tag team division is right now. No white people. So can we get these two white guys in there to do something and make it a little different? I mean, I like the fact that we have luchadors and we have wastadors and we have PTP doing great work right now against the New Day, which are doing great right now. And I love the fact that those two tag teams are on top and they're black. So that's awesome. I mean, that's really good. But at the same time, man, you need a lot more diversity because you have a diverse crowd. So let Axel and Sandow be relative, be relevant, be good, and let's see what they can do there. On top of that, Adam Rose earlier teased that he was leaving. He just said "ta-ta" as Adam Rose and put a picture of Leo Kruger on there. He's been teasing a return from a Leo Kruger return since June. June 22nd was the first time he started talking about, you remember this guy? And it was a picture of Leo Kruger. I think they knew then that they were going to have to bring him in. The rumor is, of course, that he'll be part of the Wyatt family, which the Wyatt family needs a third. Eric Rowan separated his shoulder, or tore his bicep, actually. All these separated shoulders, I get injuries mixed up. He tore his biceps in June or mid-June. And so the Wyatt family reunion that was supposed to take place at Battleground only had one member, obviously, Luke Harper. So we're short a guy for a 6-man tag that has been on the SummerSlam card since May. So it was, they knew what they were doing here. They wanted Ambrose and Reigns and Sting, which Wyatt teased a year ago with you got to kill the Scorpion tweets. Sting, Ambrose, Reigns versus the Wyatt family. And since we only have 2 members of the Wyatt family, they're probably going to bring up another one. And if it's Leo Kruger, that's a really cool dynamic, because if you knew the Leo Kruger gimmick, it was very much more dark. It wasn't Adam Rose campy. He didn't really know what to do with the gimmick in NXT outside of being this dark character, the South African character who, was kind of like Kraven the Hunter from Marvel Comics, just not as buff and crazy, but basically who is basing the character off of. He even wore a lion sash. If it would have been a lion's head or a jaguar head sash with both arms coming down right here, he easily would have been Kraven the Hunter. Could be a cool gimmick in the Wyatt family. I think it would be cool. Quick comment. What do you think, Adam?
I love it. Yeah. I'm 100% in. I am. What's the best way that I could say this? Okay, I'm a huge. I mean, I was a huge fan anyway beforehand. The E60 really made me kind of fall in love with Ray Lapon, or however you say his last name. But he's a much better ring worker when he's dark. And the reason what I mean by that is he just his mannerisms.
He was doing even better as a dark Adam Rose here at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his moveset, his mannerisms, everything is just so much better when he's a darker, more visceral, angry, just kind of like just I guess renegade. So him with the Wyatt family could be very interesting because it would limit his his mic time, but it would make his mic time a lot more effective. His delivery would be spot on, and he absolutely has the look for that deranged, cult family like type look guy. So I'm 100% all in on Adam Rose going with the Wyatt family.
And, another interesting thing, we got the return of Dolph Ziggler supposed to happen tonight on Raw. He's been advertised on WWE.com, so that should happen. They usually don't keep people in the advertisements on WWE.com unless they're literally going to be there. Ryback, the Intercontinental Champion, who, of course, had a staph infection in his knee, also supposed to be back tonight. Don't know what. Probably just doing promos, building towards a SummerSlam match if he's able to go. But if not, he'll just do a promo, and we'll see where he stands, how he's recovering, all that kind of stuff. He cannot wrestle with a staph infection. It's not good, which obviously CM Punk proved that point. But at the same time, I think it's pretty ironic that Ryback's the one with the staph infection. But
thank you. I didn't want to have to be the one to say it. Thank you.
He's so hurty. Because he's so hurty. But I think that it'd be cool to see those guys again. Daniel Bryan, in the last piece of news that we're going to talk about, obviously this one got picked up by Bleacher Report, and they really wanted to push it because it's something that's really something that WWE didn't want him talking about, and he just said, "Screw it, it's in my book. I'm going to start talking about it." Or it's not even in his book, but it's something that he wants to talk about because he's kind of pissed off. And the guy has a right to be pissed off. It's his own body. It's his own life. If he wants to take his life in his own hands again, it should be. He's an independent contractor. He should be able to work. Daniel Bryan now coming out and talking about the fact that he did have a massive concussion. And that's why he got sent home from the European tour in April. And he has been checked out by a neurologist in Phoenix, where he lives half the time with his wife. They have a house in Washington and a house in Phoenix. They're in Phoenix. Gets checked out. Neurologist says he actually is excellent. It looks like he's never had a concussion, and he's had multiple concussions in his life. So his brain is actually great, and he's been cleared to come back to work. But WWE, in the midst of all these lawsuits about the brutality and the head drama and all these dead superstars like Doink the Clown and Nelson Frazier, aka Viscera, from his wife, saying that concussion-related injuries, obviously the casualty of Chris Benoit and his family, where half the family was pushing for concussions being the issue of why he did what he did. Daniel Bryan, WWE does not want Daniel Bryan to wrestle again right now, and he even says in the interview himself he may never come back to WWE because WWE doesn't want to take the chance on him, and that makes him sad. At the same time, he says, "I will wrestle again." So when he says, "I will wrestle again," in that interview, he's saying, "Hey, guess what? If they don't ever use me again, when my contract's up, I will wrestle again for a different company or for something else." So interesting note there. Daniel Bryan wants to wrestle. He's been cleared to wrestle. WWE doesn't want to use him because they're scared that they're going to be liable if he gets hurt again. They're scared they're going to have to be the one that takes care of him. And while that's kind of understandable, at the same time, it's not when this guy's an independent contractor and he wants to work, and he's cleared to work, and he looks great, and he is one of the most popular kids on the card. For me, it kind of screams they don't want him messing up their main event plans, and they don't want him ruining the pushes of other guys that they're trying to push, because Daniel Bryan, obviously, whenever he comes back, fans gravitate right back towards him because he's one of the hardest workers and best workers. And we saw what happened with Roman Reigns at the beginning of the year. It ruined that. And I kind of feel like WWE has it out for him, has Bryan, well, right now we can keep saying no to clearing you because you had a massive concussion, and now's not the right time. So they made a mistake bringing him back for Royal Rumble when they wanted Roman Reigns to be the guy to go over. And I think right now, until we get past SummerSlam and see where the main event picture is going to be going into Mania 32, man, Daniel Bryan, it sucks because I bet it's not so much the concussion as that's just the excuse that WWE is using. Because they don't want to put him back in a main event picture. And it doesn't matter if he comes back with the IC title or not. He's still going to be one of the, if not the most popular superstar on the roster because of his work ethic. And that's the issue. I don't think they want him being over as much as he is. But that's the show, man. You've got 7 minutes until Raw goes live on the air. Chris Walter will be live tweeting from the Wrestling Rumors account. We'll be tweeting back and forth from the PBI guys, the guys we were talking about earlier that provide live commentary. If you don't want to listen to the trash commentary WWE is going to provide for you, you can go and check them out on Rabble. PBI guys, check them out. They're going to be doing some commentary, tweeting back and forth with us. And, of course, you can follow me at Doug O'Mac. You can follow us at WrestleRumors and get that live tweeting on. Of course, you're going to see stuff on Facebook. You're going to see stuff on Twitter tonight. Enjoy the show. Adam and Sam will be back for the review show. You can follow them at Sam Daly 13 and at Lady Nexus 13. They'll be back after that. You can follow the rest of the crew at Water Sports, at John Alba SFC. Actually, it's not even that anymore. It's just at John Alba. He finally got the guy to give him the name. Pretty cool. So at John Alba, at Water Sports, at Wrestle Rumors, at Doug O'Mac, at Lady Nexus 13, at Adam Daly 13. Don't forget, we will be having the review show right after Raw. So enjoy Raw, watch wrestling, enjoy yourselves, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for hanging with us on this long edition of the show.